Okay, everybody. Good afternoon and good morning for those of you on the West Coast. Thank you very kindly for joining me today for Pure UVC for Schools. I hope that I'm finding you off of a much needed weekend off. Hopefully, you had some time to be with family, to relax a little bit during the 4th of July. It's definitely been a strange and difficult year for many of us. And that's part of the reason that we're here in the first place. So, again, thanks for joining me, and hopefully this is falling on some ears that have had some time to relax and maybe get some sun while they've been at it. So, my name is Stanippmann. I'm the marketing director here at Pure UVC. At Pure UVC, I'm responsible for our marketing, educational initiatives, just like this one, and internal systems. My background is a bachelor's of science in electrical engineering from Rutgers University. So there is a bit of a technical knowledge there. So hopefully I'll be able to address your technically oriented questions. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll do my best to simplify things when needed and complicate things when needed as well to make sure that everything can be resolved as simply as possible. So we're here because we want to go and figure out how we can go and make sure our schools can open up, hopefully in September, but if not, as soon as possible. Now, in the state of New Jersey, where we're based out of, the Department of Education has just released the Road Back, the Restart and Recovery Plan for Education. Now, I know a lot of states across the nation have been releasing similar types of documents. And when I've been looking at some of the requirements needed to get schools up and running again, there have been a lot of similar types of requirements, especially when it comes to disinfection. So before we go into some classroom solutions with UVC technology, I do want to go overview a little bit about the importance of making sure our facilities are disinfected from a ethical and moral standpoint, from a standpoint of making sure our facilities are safe now and in the future, and from a legal and regulatory standpoint as well, to make sure that our facilities can open in the first place. So what we see, again, in some of these bolded areas, I'll scan through a few. School districts must develop a schedule for increased routine cleaning and disinfecting, especially of frequently touched surfaces and objects, and sanitize bathrooms daily and between use as much as possible. This is actually a bigger deal than it seems. So it's something that we'll discuss a little bit later when we talk about the restroom solution. In terms of cafeterias, to disinfect the areas between groups, to limit the use of supplies and equipment that children and students can use, allowing a disinfection between use and trying to promote just one per student where possible. Districts that provide services to medically fragile students and students with complex disabilities must ensure continuous disinfecting of classrooms and therapy rooms. I do know that on this call, we do have some people from specialty schools. So this is something to notice for you. And we have had a huge outpouring of response and interest from a lot of our specialty schools across the nation. Continuing on, facilities cleaning practices. So develop a schedule for increased routine cleaning and disinfection. Routinely clean and disinfect surfaces and objects that are frequently touched. Sanitize bathrooms daily. Routine cleaning and disinfecting of furniture. We keep on seeing those words, right? Daily, routine. So this does need to be something that we consider, and that's how can we have a robust disinfecting solution? We have a limited supply of facilities team members. We have a limited supply of equipment and a limited supply of time and finances. So how can those supplies that we have be maximized to allow for this regular, daily, comprehensive disinfection? And now finally, this is in the case that a student who has been diagnosed with COVID-19 has attended school. So areas must be closed off, waiting at least 24 hours to clean and disinfect. Facilities must have as much airflow as possible, not always possible, depending on the type of room it is. And cleaning staff should clean and disinfect all areas used by the ill persons. Now, there's a couple issues that fall in line here, where first off, scientists and researchers have long known, since pretty much the beginning of this whole coronavirus pandemic, that the disease can live outside the body, outside of a host, for 3 to 5 days. Waiting 24 hours is not going to be sufficient, and waiting 24 hours is going to put our facilities teams in frontline danger. Now, the other issue here is cleaning staff should clean and disinfect all areas used by the ill persons. A student walks from a classroom to a specialty classroom, let's say the music room, to the cafeteria, through all those hallways. Now, the virus resides in the air particles, which is swept up by the wake of other students walking, going into other classrooms. So that's going to mean that essentially the whole school needs to get disinfected in this case. Now, this is going to be something that we know from summertime when there is that comprehensive cleaning that's done. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of person power, right? It takes a lot of equipment and takes a pretty heavy duty cost to do a school-wide disinfection. So again, finding a solution here that can provide that on an affordable basis, on a timely basis, and in a safe basis. So talking about safety, one more thing I want to point out before we start to get into the UVC solution is this. Since March, when the coronavirus pandemic, when quarantine began, calls to the CDC poison control have gone up exponentially. The major reason why is not from direct consumption of cleaning products, but from the fumes and vapors associated with them. Unfortunately, the people that are most at risk are going to be the younger students that haven't developed the immunity yet, and the people that are regularly utilizing this equipment, so our facilities teams. There has been research shown that people that use cleaning products on a regular basis for a long period of time have a higher risk of lung cancer. So in the efforts to keep our students, keep our staff safe, we have to make sure that the solution that's being used is one that isn't putting anyone in more or in a different kind of danger. Which gets us to Pure UVC disinfection systems. So I'm not going to go into what UVC is. Tomorrow I'll be doing another webinar going into what UVC is, how it works, and that's something we do on a regular basis. We have on our website as well a recording of a past webinar we did. So if you want to learn more, attend that. But I do want to talk a little bit about the benefits of using UVC and then getting into solutions that are school specific, different applications and different types of rooms. So first up is efficacy. UVC light is science-backed, research-proven to destroy 99.99% of exposed pathogens. That's going to mean viruses, bacteria, mold spores, even parasites. This is also going to mean airborne and surface level pathogens. Now, when we use cleaning products on our tables, on our desks, on the lockers, whatever it might be, only the surface level pathogens are being disinfected then. So making sure that both the surface and the airborne pathogens, which coronavirus can become an airborne pathogen when it's coughed out, spoken out, breathed out in the vapor from an infected person. Safety. When there is a properly installed, properly calibrated, let's say high quality UVC system, there is no residue or odor that's left over. That means that the system can turn on, and then the second it's off, no issue there. Now, unfortunately, there are a lot of people running around right now selling systems that produce a large amount of ozone. Ozone, yes, it is a powerful disinfecting agent, but it will require at least 1 hour to clear out before someone can go into the room because ozone is incredibly damaging to the lungs and respiratory system. Pure UVC systems do not use any lamps that produce ozone. The second thing is that yes, UVC, if exposed for a long period of time directly onto a person, will be the same idea as being under the sun. That's why we have multiple layers of safety redundancies to make sure that no one will ever be exposed directly to the UVC light. We wanted to make the most efficacious and the safest system on the market, and I very much believe that we have. Continuing on, school friendly. So this is the issue that we've been through already. A system that's going to allow facility-wide comprehensive disinfection on a daily basis. So this means that if, God forbid, one of the students or staff members has COVID-19, that the system can turn on, do the crux of the disinfecting before anyone comes back into the facility. That means that the facilities team isn't in danger. That means that you can get the full school and everywhere that that student or staff member has been. This is going to allow the bathrooms to be disinfected between uses, to allow classrooms to be disinfected during their off period, to allow comprehensive disinfection every night during these seasons, whether it's the current coronavirus pandemic or in the future, it's the flu season, and you're trying to go make sure that you're mitigating the risk as much as possible. Going on that line, future ready. UVC light is effective against pathogens. Coronavirus, the viral strain for COVID-19 is a pathogen, but this is going to be effective against flu strains. It'll be effective against cold strains, against different bacteria, even against mold spores that can cause allergies, headaches, asthma, and a slew of other issues. Less waste. It's going to require less bottles of cleaning product. It's going to require less rags. It's going to allow for easier disposal of some of these heavy duty, not so earth friendly materials. And finally, affordable. So overall, the system is going to be incredibly budget friendly, especially when you're comparing it against the chemical alternative. On our website, I've done a webinar talking about the truth of chemical disinfectants, going over some of the, let's say, not so savory sides of that option, including costing. And if you watch that webinar, you'll be able to see a price comparison there. The UVC system is considerably more affordable, especially during times when that deep comprehensive disinfection is needed. And not only is it more affordable, but it's going to allow a disinfection that just isn't possible through some other means. So again, it is a solution that's going to be incredibly powerful now, and it'll be a solution that'll be highly beneficial going forward into the future. So what is this solution in the first place? So Pure UVC is a facility-wide solution. It can be done for your entire school. It can also be done for specific rooms and areas in the school. We've done both. Some is way better than nothing at all. The UVC disinfection will only occur when spaces are unoccupied. We have multiple levels of safety redundancy to make sure that that is the case. It does not interfere with any existing systems, so nothing is going to act wonky or funny because of this system. And inside of our fixtures, we have what are called our IntelliSafe app-based controls. These allow a great deal of flexibility so that the system can operate as needs to be done for your unique facility at that unique time. For example, it'll be very easy to schedule a different type of protocol during the school year and during the summer, and all that'll need to be done is essentially press one button on the mobile app. And then we have simple preset controls in our mobile units as well. So that'll require an incredibly minimal training from the facilities team and a very simple operation. And finally, all products that we use have components and are done by manufacturers who are approved by the EPA, FCC, and UL. I've already said this is something that I am proud of, so I don't shy away from saying it, but this is the most efficacious and safest system that we have found. And anytime we find someone doing something even close to what we've done, we find a way to make things safer and better for you. This is a school-specific solution. Schools are one of, if not the most important institution in our communities. That's where our students gather. That's where educators gather to go and provide this education, which literally is going to transform the future of our country and to a greater degree to the world as well. So we want to make sure that everyone feels confident to be in those places. Everyone feels safe to be in those places. And we have taken extra precautions to make sure of that. And so our IntelliSafe controls, what these allow is flexibility, customized presets, and regular updates. So anytime that there are new features that come out, as I mentioned before, that we find our clients are asking for, your app will be automatically updated to provide those updates. And this allows flexibility to schedule programs based on your needs. Now, safety features, I already mentioned that we have redundancies built into our fixtures. So that's going to be astronomical clock. This means that all the fixtures are operating on the same time, meaning that 1 o'clock a.m. for one fixture is not 2 a.m. for another fixture, meaning that all the fixtures will turn on when they're told to. Smart sensors, we have let's say high performance, that's what I'm looking for. High performance sensors in each fixture that serve as occupancy controllers. So if anyone is in the room, the system will not turn on. Manual override, again, an extra level of protection in case the system needs to be turned off, or it needs to be turned on a special occasion by an authorized user. Sound activation. So whenever the fixture is on, a non-invasive, non-abrasive, but audible sound is activated. So God forbid, somehow with all these safety features, the system turns on while students are in the room. Everyone will know very, very quickly that the fixtures are on, and they'll be able to walk outside of the room until everything is remedied. And then finally here, fixtures are deactivated as default. So if something is not working properly, fixtures will turn off, you notify us, we'll find a way to solve that and get things up and running. And we actually have one more thing here that's not mentioned, which is that there's flash memory built into the fixtures, meaning that if the power goes out, you're not going to have to go reprogram or anything like that. They'll go run again as they did before seamlessly. So let's get into some of these individual classroom solutions here. I know I'm talking a little bit more than I promised in 20 minutes, so I'm going to skip over that stuff. I can talk more about it during tomorrow's webinar if you join me. So first off, classroom solution here. So our fixtures are pre-programmed for a nightly disinfection. So let's say around 1 to 3 a.m., no one's in the room. The facilities team has already done what they needed to do. And then this way, that 2 hours is going to provide that comprehensive disinfection against viruses, bacteria, and mold spores. Now, customized schedules can be simply programmed. So if let's say the room is unoccupied between periods 4 and 6, that during that period 5, the UVC fixtures can go on. That's easy to do. We'll provide all the training materials so authorized users can do that. Again, disinfection only occurs if room is unoccupied. And it will take about only 30 to 60 minutes for the germicidal and antiviral disinfection. The mold spores take longer. So this can be run between periods to get that high level of disinfection. And for a standard, let's say about 1,000 square foot classroom, about 1 to 3 fixtures will be required. The more fixtures, the quicker the disinfection, but we do understand budgets and other concerns, so we can work with you to find the best solution for your classrooms. This will be the same idea in your offices as well, same exact system. The restroom solution. Now, as we mentioned before, there is a high emphasis on as much as possible providing this disinfection between uses. Now, on a manual basis, this is very difficult because that'll literally require a sort of bathroom bouncer to allow students in after they leave to do a cleaning and then to open the bathroom back up. There's only a limited amount of people that can, do this. And with the amount of bathrooms that are typically in a facility, there probably won't be enough staff members to be able to do that across the school. So the bathroom solution allows for disinfecting while the bathroom is unoccupied. We have high-powered occupancy sensors. The second someone walks in, they turn off. Same idea as if you have motion-controlled lights. The student leaves, the staff member leaves, they turn back on. And then when the day is over, a deep comprehensive disinfection will be done and the fixtures will turn off automatically when that disinfection is complete. You can also program the systems. So you have, let's say again, pandemic times where you have it running this way. So it is on between students, and during healthy times when you don't need such heavy levels of disinfection, it could run only at night to do an added level of cleaning. For our nurse's office, this is another place that there is a lot of interest and emphasis on, especially because this is where some of these students that are ill will be detected. So we do provide for nurse's office a wall plate, a wall switch that allows the nurse to manually turn on the system at any point. So let's say a student comes in, and let's get beyond coronavirus for a moment here. Let's say that it's flu season, a student comes in with a fever. After the nurse realizes the student is sick and the parents come to pick the student up, the nurse can leave the room, turn on the disinfection. It'll run for about 30 to 45 minutes. And then at the end of that, the nurse comes back in, room is disinfected, and the nurse can be there healthily and make sure that any other students that come in aren't getting infected by the germs from previous occupants and previous students. The other nice part here is that since nurses' offices tend to be relatively small, the disinfection happens pretty quickly. Again, the smaller the space, the more power the light is, the less diffuse it is. So it's going to allow for a quicker disinfection. Large spaces, so such as our gyms, this is where our mobile units come in handy, especially when you have wide open spaces. Now, gyms are a place that are important to disinfect because this is a place that people are going to be breathing heavy, they're going to be sweating, they're going to have, I don't mean to sound too gross here, but there's going to be a lot of fluids and a lot of germs being emitted from the bodies. So high-powered UVC mobile units are perfect for this. Units take about 30 to 60 minutes for comprehensive disinfection, and it takes minimal training for staff members. The staff member wheels it in, turns it on, walks out, and then it'll do what it needs to do. And then staff member walks back in again 30 to 60 minutes later, wheel it out, put it in the closet, and there is that disinfection for the ground, for the ceiling, for the airborne particles. For some spaces, for example, like a cafeteria, multiple placements or multiple units might be required. When we do larger schools, like let's say a high school, typically we advise 3 or 4 units to be on site for uses like this. The other thing that I will mention here is that when the in-ceiling fixtures get a little bit too high, they start to, let's say, not be as powerful, so disinfection will take longer. So for spaces with very high ceilings, either we could suspend fixtures or we recommend a portable unit just like this. And then finally, hallways. So hallways are something that, let's say, as odd as it might seem, are optional. They are simple enough to clean. I do know that with most coronavirus containment, there is limited movement as much as is possible. But if it is something that budget allows, it is of course recommended because it does allow for that extra level of disinfection. Now there's 2 options for hallways. There's the permanently installed fixtures. This works just as we've been talking about before. Positive is that's non-invasive, hands-free, offers facility-wide disinfection. Con there is that the initial investment will raise a good amount because there will need to be a decent amount of these fixtures. Mobile units are also going to be a good option here. So the positives, budget-friendly solution. For the long, narrow, empty hallways, there's going to be great coverage. but it's going to require manual placement. So not that automatic hands-free solution that the other classrooms, bathrooms, locker rooms I didn't mention would be able to achieve. So again, these are everything here we've spoken about before, but working with Pure, we provide essentially the whole rigmarole. So from the design to furnishing materials to the programming, warranty, support, we can even help you source labor if that is something that you're looking for. Now, this is the slide I want to make sure that we can get to before I open up Q&A. So sample project pricing. Now, every school is going to be different, different requirements, different layouts, but as a rough estimate to start to get a general idea, if there was a comprehensive system, so this means portable units for the cafeterias and gyms, classrooms, bathrooms, offices, nurse's office, locker rooms. This does not mean the permanent fixtures in the hallways. An elementary school will come out to be about $55,000. And what I haven't mentioned yet is that there will be no additional costs after that initial investment for at least 5 years, more like 10 years, when the bulb replacements will be needed. It's a very stable solution. The bulbs do last a good amount of time, especially because the system won't be on for a tremendous amount of time during the day. Middle school will be about $125K and high school about $190K. We do have some clients that ask to start with a sample classroom. That'll come out to be around $2,100. We also do for some schools start with just nurses' offices or do only the restrooms. We can talk if you have questions about a plan of attack, what we've seen works well during the Q&A time. So one other thing to mention before we close this off is that there is a precedent of FEMA supporting UVC disinfection in the wake of coronavirus. So coronavirus is a national emergency. There has been other facilities, and we do currently have a large slew of clients whose applications are being submitted for support. So this is something, if you are a public school or a public school district, to definitely consider putting this in your public assistance funding category B, because there may be significant funding that FEMA offers. It is a case-by-case basis. We will be happy to supply you with any information that you need to make your case. And we are currently working on let's say, a little bit of a FEMA supportive documentation to raise your odds of getting that funding. So the way that we normally close this off has been the same since the beginning, and we do need to say that there is a new normal that is coming in the wake of coronavirus. One question I'm asked very often is this new technology? Why haven't I heard about it? Why hasn't this been applied? And UVC is not new technology. It's more than 100 years old. And the reason it hasn't been applied is that there hasn't ever been such a widespread need. Quite frankly, it should have been applied on a wider scale level a long time ago. So we have opportunities to dive into the silver lining of this time to make sure that our facilities are safer, produce more confidence, are more robust than they were in the past. The fact that you're on this webinar and you're exploring these solutions means that you are part of that change. And I do appreciate you being on this. I do appreciate you investigating the solution. And from everyone at Pure UVC, we are excited and honored to be part of the solution as well. Upcoming webinars as we close this off. So a recording of this very webinar will be coming to our website shortly in case you want to re-watch it or share it with a colleague. Starting on the 16th, we'll be doing a similar webinar for higher education. So for anyone who's from a college or university or has contacts there. And then our normal intro to UVC lighting and how it protects your facilities. This is our intro webinar. It runs during the summer every other Thursday. Next one will be tomorrow, so I hope you join me there. We will go more into what UVC is and a little bit more about the general Pure UVC solution. So that said, thank you very kindly for joining me today. I will turn this over now to Q&A, and I already see that we have a list of questions. If you have a question that you'd like to ask, please use the Q&A module, and I will get to every question before the end of this webinar.